Back to NBA Today. Adrian Wojnarowski, our senior NBA insider, joining us now because we have an update on Stephen Curry and his availability potentially for Game 1, which is this Saturday on ABC. Woj, what do you got?
Malika, Steph Curry is expected to get back on the court with his teammates this week, and I'm told it is going to be a close call about his availability on Saturday. Steve Kerr said today that the hope is, or certainly the expectation is, that he would have to get into a scrimmage with these Warriors in a practice this week before they would allow him to return and play a game. That would be the responsible thing to do. And Steve Kerr said that the hope is they'd have a scrimmage on Thursday ahead of Saturday's Game 1. But right now, the progress for Steph Curry has been steady with that foot injury. And the hope still is he can play Game 1. But again, it's going to be a close call. But I think the expectation is Steph Curry will be back early in this series, even if he is unable to play Game 1.
And that's the question. Will it be Saturday? Woj, thank you so much for all your reporting throughout our show today. I really appreciate it. All right, I do want to bring it back, though, with our entire panel to react to what we just heard. How is it going to impact the Warriors, whether or not, Shanae, Steph is going to be available in this Game 1?
Well, Steph is the ultimate game changer. And I feel like, the Warriors, they have a system. They know who they are. And I think this is the best point about them, the fact that they have an identity. So if Steph's not available, they feel like they can still win a game because it's next man up, strength in numbers. But still, when Steph is available, you feel like the Warriors can still make it all happen. So I think it's good to be cautious based on the history of their star players, especially in the postseason. Get them to have that scrimmage, that practice run in before you put them out there, because you don't want to risk it all. Your team can hold you down 1 or 2 games if he's available.
That's it right there. You don't want to risk it all. What's wrong with bringing them back Game 2 when you have guys that are playing well and they could just hold the fort down for a game? I'd rather have Steph Curry healthy and feeling better for Game 2 instead of just bringing him back Game 1 just because you want him to have him out there. Yes, he's very important. No, he's extremely important to the success of your team, of course. But when it's Steph Curry, you're talking about, you definitely want a healthy or as healthy as possible. You can get.
And to piggyback off of that point, Klay Thompson playing better as of late. Jordan Poole, someone that a lot of people have said are getting most improved votes. And you look at Andrew Wiggins. Maybe this is the, hey, we need you now out the gate so that you're starting the season with confidence, the postseason with confidence. So I look at this as an opportunity, and you know that, hey, if they're being careful based on practice, it's not a similar situation to maybe like Luka, who you're a little bit more worried about his viability for an entire series versus Steph. We're right on the timeline.
Well, the exciting thing is we have actual games tonight. Really quickly, though, before I make you guys pick just one, Shanae, just one. Richard, I just want to ask you, because it's still going right in the back of my mind, from a player perspective, because we just heard from a fan perspective what the thought is on Doc Rivers in Philadelphia. What's the player perspective on Doc Rivers? Because he's incredibly well respected.
Yeah, he's incredibly well respected. I think ultimately when you look at Philly, they've been in a transitional situation. Last year, they finished, I believe, as the #1 seed and, just growing and getting better. Right now, Joel Embiid could win the MVP under Doc Rivers. And I think the biggest issue for them, what was going on with Ben Simmons, that part is very, very tough. That was uncontrollable to a certain degree. And now they have James Harden, they're figuring it out. But I think there's a level of patience that takes that in our world. People are very impatient. It can take 2-3 years to build a champion, to draft, to get all the things necessary. Not having Matisse Thybulle possibly in Toronto, that's a huge loss for a team that gave up all of their depth to go and get James Harden. So maybe this year, if it's not the year, that I wouldn't sacrifice Doc Rivers. I would just say, hey, we need to get more depth. That's what we go into the offseason looking for, is more depth.
And one thing I just want to add, Thybulle is a game changer.
A huge game changer.
He gets them in transition. He saves possessions defensively to allow Joel and James Harden to be able to be dominant offensively.
Right, and I think what Jamie's point was, as we know, Philadelphia fans are some of the most passionate in the NBA. So she's speaking from the fan perspective.
Done with the process.
And they certainly are done.
Process.
They are through. All right, let's make picks real quick. Vince, who you got tonight? Starting with you.
Nets.
All right, you got the Nets. Done.
He's
like,
Nets.
Bam, bam, thank you,
I got the Nets.
All right.
Bam.
Yeah, I'm Nets. I'm not changing my just because I said some people were important.
The teams he's played for.
Nets.
That means the Nets.
Okay, well, what about for Clippers T-Wolves?
I'm going to go with Clippers. I think adding Paul George back, the way they're playing, on top of the success that the team had, now Paul George come back healthy and, first game back scoring 30? They're playing with a lot of confidence right now.
I'm going to go with the T-Wolves. I'm going to go with the T-Wolves in a close one because it's at home. It's at home. And
Wow.
So, and look, we say this, like the Timberwolves haven't been great. Like they've been playing outstanding basketball. So yes, while we know the Clippers and we know Paul George, after Paul George, the next three best players on the floor are probably for the Timberwolves. We're going to say that's what I'm saying. After Paul George, the next three best players in these games are going to be D'Angelo Russell, is going to be Anthony Edwards, and then Towns. So, like, that's why I give them the edge.
See, the only reason I said wow is because before the show, I gave my answer as Richard Jefferson walked in, and it sounds like you stole my answer where I said home court will determine
your eyes
this.
on your own paper.
Timberwolves. That's how he did homework in Arizona.
Yes.
He was like, oh, hey, what's your answer?
Yeah, let me get it. Yeah.
Well, one of us
He
has a
pulled
degree.
up.
One of us has a degree.
What are you talking about? Of course, you're right, and it's me.
Just wanted to make that very clear. I don't know. It's going to be, and I would, John Morant, though, versus Anthony Edwards. That would be so much fun if it got to that
Hey, we're going to be back with
We're going to be breaking down all those games tomorrow.
No.
That's it for us. NFL Live. All right, so the regular season is, what is it? It's over.
Over.
All right, so it's time to do top of the top. But this time, we're doing top of the showstop. All right, so showstopper edition, the most athletic dunks of the year since we have Vince Carter here.
Let's
he
do
gets to judge. First up.
I mean, RJ's here, too.
No, that doesn't matter.
Top hang time, John Morant.
Oh, for sure.
I mean,
Just.
Windmill off the lob?
Yeah.
Windmill off the lob?
If you can do it, you can do it.
Yeah. Again, this man is what, 6'2"?
Yeah.
6'2"?
when you say if you can do it, you can do it, that means you can do it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I was making sure that we're very clear here.
Oh, no.
All right, let's then go to top opponents. Knicks at Hornets.
Oh, okay.
Obi Toppin, I mean, he put on
Oh,
he did.
A little top of the top of topping.
Okay, we should do that top of the Toppin. I like that.
Yeah.
Little
I mean,
sloppy top.
Take it to the
my
top. Take what?
Let's
in the
go.
world?
Finish it.
Oh,
Finish it.
we got more windmills. We got more windmills.
Windmills. First
And
of all,
then look at
that
it.
was our go-to.
That was our go-to. Exactly.
That was our go-to.
That's why they
with
put
the
it on
windmill.
here.
Who did it better, Obi or?
No one does a better Vin. It's him and then Dominic.
That was my thing.
Fine.
Windmills
Top
was the thing.
rotation than it is. Early season Bulls. Lonzo, I mean, he had some pretty passes. Take a look.
That's sick.
Oh, wow.
Hey, who does that remind you of?
360.
Ooh.
Who does that remind you of?
I don't know who he is.
No one.
He was your point guard.
Who was my point guard? Who's
He was my point guard, too.
Jason Kidd?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the dunk. I was like,
We're talking about Lonzo.
I
talking about Lonzo.
I thought you wanted us to say it reminds us of you, and I was like,
No.
enough. All right, I got another one for you. We got show-offs. Let's see.
Showstopper?
Yeah, show-offs.
Ooh.
Show-offs are the showstoppers.
Okay,
Let's take a
Oh,
look.
this is sick.
Yo.
Oh, yeah.
This is sick.
First of all,
That's
not a
a-
lot. He's like 6'11". Not a lot of 6'11"
Exactly.
guys got that.
Well-
And then Toppin, we know what he does.
Yes, he
Obi,
did.
yeah, that's easy.
I mean, he was doing
saw
it
this one.
all season long. This one was pretty good, though.
Pretty good.
Oh,
With somebody,
I like that.
with somebody close
Did you
by?
ever
Yeah.
dunk it in?
Oh,
Did you
it
ever
was the
dunk in an
left hand.
NBA game between your legs?
No.
You were scared.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, so
Yeah, I mean, I never dunked
This
in
is
my
the
legs.
one
That- and-
category that you don't.
No,
You
kid.
can't say.
I
no.
did the dunk, but I didn't do it in the
These kids
game.
today are
I was worried
wild.
about people running me over.
I mean,
Yeah, they weren't gonna take it too nice.
Even Zion liked that one. All right, those are pretty good. We're gonna have some more like top of the regular season coming this week. And when we return, is there pressure on the 76ers, and just how much? NBA Today rolls on after this.
No pressure.
A little bit. A little bit.
The East, that's according to Caesar Sportsbook. The Bucks are at the top. They're followed by the Nets, the Celtics, the Heat, and the Sixers.
I guess it's just stealing.
It's time now for today's home court advantage, and we're really excited to welcome WPVI TV Philadelphia sports anchor / reporter, Jamie Apodi. Jamie, thank you so much for joining us to talk some Sixers. So Simmons for Harden, that deal goes down in February, and back then fans, they were elated to say the least. But what's the mood now as it pertains to Harden?
You know, I think a lot of the hype has kind of gone away. You're right. That day, it was like magic around here. People couldn't believe it. It was championship or bust. I mean, you're getting James Harden, one of the 75 best players in NBA history, to pair with Joel Embiid. This is a gimme, right? And those first few games, they were magic. But, you know, the love fest has faded a little bit, especially because recently Harden hasn't really quite seemed like the Robin to Embiid's Batman. And especially you look at the series against the Raptors, he's been coming up a little small in some of these games. And near the end of games, when they're a close game, they played each other last week, and Harden only had 13 points. And you know what? He shot 25% from the field. So he can't come up that way in the playoffs here. So I think people are starting to get a little skeptical of this dynamic duo.
So other than having to worry maybe about Harden picking up his game a little bit here, the Sixers as a whole, they have their hands full with a super tough opponent in the Raptors who've been excellent this year. Why do you think this matchup could be particularly troublesome for the 76ers?
Well, of all the matchups they could have gotten, this is the one that nobody wanted for many, many reasons. One, what I just said, Harden hasn't played well against Raptors. In fact, the team hasn't played well. They met each other 4 times this season. The Sixers lost 3 of those games. So that doesn't bode well for a 7-game series, does it? And another reason is the Matisse Thybulle factor. Here's a guy, the best defensive player on the team, and he's a spark. He's got charisma. Fans love him. And he can't travel to Canada because he's not fully vaccinated. So that was a big disappointment to fans. I don't think a lot of people realized that until last week when he wasn't able to play in that game against the Raptors. And then you have just this matchup overall. You know, there's some history between these two teams. I was there back in 2019 when that buzzer beater by Kawhi sent Joel Embiid to the locker room in tears, crying. And so he feels the pressure of winning there in Toronto. And the Sixers as a whole, they have the pressure of getting deep into this playoffs. I mean, they've only gotten out of the second round 2 times since 1986. This would be the second time if they were to actually do it. That's a long time.
Right. And you said it. The word du jour is pressure, right? So what's the feeling among fans when it comes to Doc Rivers' decision-making, and how will that play out in this series?
Well, I think one of the most special things about Philadelphia is they're the best sports fans in the world. And the reason they're the best sports fans in the world is because they're the most knowledgeable sports fans in the world. And they see what's going on here. And they're not big fans of Doc Rivers right now. I think Philadelphia Sixers fans kind of see Rivers as getting in this team's way a bit. So should the Sixers be bounced early, that's going to be Rivers' head for sure. And I feel like sometimes there's even this sentiment that, all right, good, let's have them lose early in this playoff run so that we can get another coach in here. Recently, Rivers has lashed out at the media a little bit, and it seems like he's in over his head. This is a guy he's a phenomenal coach. Harden said he came here for Rivers. But the prevailing notion here in Philadelphia, at least from the fans, is that Rivers is not necessarily the coach that is going to lead this team to a championship. And being that it's Embiid's prime, a championship is what this team wants right now.
Absolutely. And when they brought James Harden to Philadelphia, the thought was, okay, capitalizing on Joel Embiid's prime window. Jamie, thank you so much for joining us here on NBA Today. Really appreciate it. All right. We still have so much more to come, though, here on NBA Today, including an update on Steph Curry. Stay tuned for that.